I saw your email on like senior center. I'm like, okay. I don't think I've ever been there for a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad you found it. Like I said, you're the only one tonight. So.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. When the chair calls you, he'll just have you go up to the podium
Okay.
to use that mic. And that's it. So Bill bought the pointer, so that's it did help a lot. It's helped.
Is it like a laser one or something? Oh.
Yeah, you pull it out. Maybe that's what I should do with this one.
Watching the news.
No, Bill. Bill, it's gonna be a quick meeting, okay?
We just have like these feathery clouds, just on the edges.
Hello,
Hey, Chelsea.
how are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
How are you doing?
That makes me thirsty.
Good, I got the phone off my dog, she's all sad now. Yep, oh my gosh. She's sprinting? The cone was less of a problem than just like trying to keep her calm and still, because she's an 8-month-old puppy and she wants to run around. So she finally got the all clear, she can resume normal activities, she was so happy. I took her to Home Depot because I planted a blueberry bush and she dug it up.
Oh, no.
Typical. So I went to Home Depot and I got like a cage to put over it, like mesh and all that. I tried like chili powder, the capsaicin. No, it doesn't. It seems like she liked it more. She's like the same.
Meeting for Thursday, May 12th, 2022. We operate under the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 26 of the Town of Danvers General Bylaw, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. After each applicant presents his or her request and the board has had time to ask questions and discuss the project, we will accept questions from the audience. Because this is a public meeting, it is required by law that you give your name and address first. Although we may disagree on the issues raised, all persons present during this meeting are expected to be civil to all other meeting attendees. This includes members of the commission, staff, abutters, concerned citizens, and property owners, and project applicants. We also request that you confine your questions to the project and only as it pertains to the Wetlands Act. We cannot handle, nor do we have jurisdiction over issues such as noise or traffic. All problems not related to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Danvers Wetlands Protection Bylaw must be taken up with the other appropriate boards. First, before we get to the agenda, we'll have a roll call. Peter Wilson is present. Vanessa Curran.
She's here?
Her
She's
little
here,
thing
right?
lit up.
She's here,
Just
so.
didn't hear.
Yeah.
I'll go back to her.
You're
Okay,
very good,
thanks.
Vanessa.
Chelsea King.
Here.
Ann McGill.
Here.
And Michael Splain.
Yeah.
Right, first item on our agenda is a notice of intent for 47 Collins Street, DEP file number 14-1375. The applicant is Old Salem Village Condominiums, and the applicant is requested to continue your public hearing until our 5/26 meeting. I'd entertain a motion that we move this item to our next meeting.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for 47 Collins Street, DEP file number 14-1375 to our next meeting on 5/26.
What question before we, why are we continuing?
47
The
Collins
applicant is
Street, they,
requested.
No, I know they're
Yeah.
requesting, but
John Moran from Moran Cameron has finalized everything for stormwater is what they're waiting on, and I think approval of some changes on the plan from the actual
For
condo
drainage?
association, yeah.
Yeah.
So the association has just given sign off, it sounds like.
thank you. I just wanted to know.
Okay, the motion's been made. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is a notice of intent for 41 Choate Avenue, DEP file number 14-1376. I don't think this hearing has ever been opened. Is that correct?
I don't believe it has, no.
No, because they have been up before us before.
They have not.
No, they haven't been here.
Okay.
No, we've seen.
All right, so
this.
I don't see any need to continue. I would just know that they requested to, and they'll be on the agenda for our 5/26 meeting as well. Next up is a request for a certificate of compliance for 106 Liberty Street, DEP file number 14-057. And the applicant is Robert LeBlanc, and that's you, sir? What can you tell us about this particular?
Yeah, go to the podium.
Just identify yourself and then just,
Good evening, Robert LeBlanc. I'm actually currently 106 Liberty Street, Danvers. I own the property, and there's some open orders of conditions that are really old, including this one of 057 from 1979, which was a few property owners ago. It actually it refers to 102 Liberty Street, which is now part of 106. You know, so I bought my property from Dave and Colette Wilkinson, which was River End Trust, which is 106. Prior to me buying 106, there was some contamination issues on either side of the property, and Bunky, who owned 102, worked to deal with Dave and Colette Rivers and to do a cleanup on Bunky's property, sold that property to Dave and Colette before I purchased 106 and 102, and I gave and a portion of my lot, which was B, was sold to Bunky. Okay, so so the lot lines and everything were changed and things were done. So, but this one in particular refers to the parcel that I own now, which is 102 Liberty Street and 106. It's called Parcel A, which is directly next door to Jack's Takeout. So that parcel, which is an L-shaped, and there was best I can tell from reading the order of conditions, there was some soil and stuff like that that looks like it was cleaned up, and some grass planted and stuff like that. And all of that has changed over the last decade, and including the property lines, as well as the front of the property where I provided an easement for the town to do the sidewalk and stuff like that out there. So the frontage is all different as far as the setback, and all that stuff has been kind of, so I'm long and short of it, sorry, I'm nervous, is I'm trying to clean up some things that are on the deed that the bank noted that are items that have to be, closed out. And this is one that has an open order of conditions for, when you do a deed check on the properties, that parcel, which is also listed as 102, still has an open order of conditions from 1979 from Stephen Zuck, which I'd never met, obviously, in my life, so.
Yeah, but the bulk of the work was resurfacing, planting grass and?
It was, from what I could read in the order of conditions, there was an area that was removed, some soil that was removed and then regraded, and then there was an area that they had to plant grass towards the front of the property and stuff that, which is now where the sidewalk is. So, and like I said, and that stuff, that was all done, over 20 years ago. So, and again, like I said, so that's the oldest order of conditions, which was from the 14-057.
Okay, thanks. Let me just pass it along to the board members to see if they have any questions. Mike, want to go ahead?
Yeah, how long have you owned the property?
I purchased the property in 2001.
Oh, okay. Some of this stuff's 42 years old. I'm just wondering why it hadn't come up before. Is the property being sold or refinanced?
It's being sold.
It's being sold, I thought so.
And-
That's how that comes up.
To answer your question, I'm a little perturbed because I paid, obviously, attorneys and title.
Clean title, yeah, and you didn't get it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I kind of, I'm embarrassed to be here of something from 1979, which I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And I thought I paid, and went through the channels that I needed to.
Yeah, I
but
get it.
Here I am.
Yeah, the note says staff was gonna go out to verify?
Yeah.
And that
By the
happened?
site today, and nothing, I wasn't gonna verify the old projects, because I think now we can't verify what happened in
Yeah,
1980.
Yeah.
But I found no violations or anything of concern. Everything looked clean, in order, and by what's been approved on plans.
I have nothing further.
Chelsea?
I've got nothing.
Ann?
No.
Vanessa, any questions?
Nothing here either.
I'm sorry, I can't hear her.
We'll turn her up, but she said nothing. No questions.
Do we do these one at a time, or?
Yeah.
I would, yes.
Yeah, competing?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so as far as we know, the work has been done, and the town doesn't even have a copy of the file.
Right.
Right, so it's just, all right, so I guess let's just get it done and, get this off the, what's that, an encumbrance on the deed? On the
Yes.
title?
It is, because it's recorded.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, are there any questions from the public? Sir?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1, because I'm old and I didn't do my homework. This is Bunky's Marina. It's across from the school?
Yes.
No,
Yes, it is, Bill.
Directly, it's abutting Jack's Takeout.
okay. In a prior meeting, I believe someone said there's several parking spots in front of your business that belong to the town?
That's where that whole development was.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And you have nothing to do with the housing across the street that was built on the old chemical building that operated the?
The townhouses?
Yes, There was a chemical business here a long time
No,
ago.
no, that was long before me.
Okay.
Yeah, that was long,
I'm just
yeah.
bringing it up. Someone should have told you about that, too. Not that it affects you. Excuse me, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Bill.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, anyone else? Doesn't look it. First vote we want to do is close the public hearing, and then we can vote on, actually, it's not
Peter,
a
these
public
aren't
hearing,
public
no.
No.
I'd also
okay.
note, if you want, just for the ease, you could make one motion to issue the COC for, and then you can list all the DEP numbers at the end. It's easier, but it's up to you.
Now let's just vote,
Okay.
instead of reading all four of them. So someone can make a motion, will grant a certificate of compliance. That's the first item.
I make a motion for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 14-057.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is a request for certificate of compliance for 106 Liberty Street, DEP file number 14-814. All right, once again, the applicant is Mr. Robert LeBlanc. If you could just give us a little background on this one, Mr.
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Again, Robert LeBlanc, 106 Liberty Street. So on this particular order of conditions, this refers to the cleanup that was done on that piece of property. Again, the property directly abutting Jack's Takeout at 102 Liberty Street. The cleanup was done by Bunky's Realty LLC in conjunction with the people that bought it, which would be Dave and Colette Wilkinson, Rivers End Trust, prior to the property swaps. So they did the cleanup on that piece of property. I then purchased the property, let me back up. So Dave and Colette Wilkinson bought the property from Bunky and traded another piece of property directly abutting Bunky's if you're looking at my property to the right of me. So opposite end of the property, close to the travel lift. Bunky took a section of that, the section which is A, which is this piece that was cleaned up back in 2001. That was cleaned up and then sold to Dave and Colette Wilkinson, who I purchased parcel A and parcel B from, with a clean bill of health and 21E testing and whatnot for Danvers Savings Bank, which I did the purchase through. So that stuff was done, and I don't know as if there was an order of compliance. I was under the impression there was, because Colette was very good with paperwork, but I don't have a copy of it, because again, it wasn't my property at the time. And again, when I did my purchase, all of these things should have been taken care of, by lawyers and banks and do all the stuff that they do. And this one I think is still open. So I don't know, there may have been one issued to Bunky and I don't have a copy, I don't know. I put in the application as a matter of trying to save some time. I was gonna be here and I'm going down my list the bank gave me and says that these things need to be taken care of. This is recorded with the state in the deeds. That's how the bank pulled it up. So, but I don't know if the town issued, I think.
There's no certificate of compliance.
Okay, because I think somebody had said sometimes they get a certificate of compliance, but they don't go and fix it and close that out at the state level. And I didn't know what the deal was with that.
Was the question, was it a certificate issued,
Yeah,
not
no.
recorded?
There's none in the file, and if there's none found at the registry by your,
We do have a file for this
Experts.
particular order. of
yes, we
conditions.
have a file, but no certificate of
No
compliance.
closing out.
Okay.
So, close it out.
And again, in that property, obviously that was back in 2001. And again, like I said, it passed a retesting of those two pieces that were cleaned. And they were cleaned and filled and leveled and then tested again, and passed all that and stuff. So otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do the purchase. This whole thing was a disaster back in 2000 when I had no place to go, and this was gonna be the place I was moving to, and then everything got put on hold and properties got swapped, and it was just yeah, it all worked out in the end, but it was very stressful. So I'm here again before the board to see, what do I need to do to see if we can get it closed out.
Okay. And you said it looks good down there, Georgia? Okay, Mike, any questions?
No.
Georgia? Any questions? I'm sorry, Georgia. Chelsea?
No, I have no questions.
Ann?
No, I'm fine.
Vanessa, any questions?
No.
Okay, any comment from the public? Nope. Okay, so if someone make a motion, we can issue an order, a certificate of compliance.
I make a motion that we order an issue COC for Department file, DEP file number 14-814.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 3. I should say 5. 106 Liberty Street, DEP file number 14-1009. We finally get into the 4 digits. The applicant is Mr. Robert LeBlanc. Can you give us some background on this one, please?
Yes, again, Robert LeBlanc, 106 Liberty Street. Let's see, there's 1009, this is, okay, this one was me. So this was back in 2004, when I had done some repairs to the travel lift area, including some new pilings and whatnot to replace rotted out pilings and existing timbers and whatnot. So at the time I had done the repair, I thought I was okay to do it with my Chapter 91 license for that particular structure, which is the travel lift area and bulkhead, and I didn't expand beyond what the actual footprint was. And again, the company that I had do it, I showed them the Chapter 91 and we were off and running until I was told I could not when we were in the middle of the project. Or actually, we just about completed at that point, other than just a cleanup. So I got an order of an enforcement letter to stop, that I couldn't do that. I had to come before the board and get an order of conditions, which again I'm learning about. I learned about then actually. So I hired Charlie Ware with Meridian Associates to apply the notice of intent, apply for an after the fact order of conditions. The board, you guys came out, looked at it after we had done because it was after completion. Looked at everything. I submitted some additional paperwork with some questions on some things what we were going to do, going forward, and what we had done to clean the property up, since I bought it, 4 years prior, and stuff. And I had sent in some paperwork about non-toxic antifreeze that was there, just in explaining what that it's non-toxic and showing that and stuff, and then putting in some stormwater filtration, which I did purchase, and I sent that stuff over by fax, and I have a copy of that. So we did all that, and that order, again, I thought Meridian had finished the whole deal out and that was closed because there was no pre-inspection, because I screwed up and I did it without getting an order of conditions until afterwards. So, and then at that point, I thought it was all done. I paid them. I paid the fine. I have a copy of the enforcement letter and stuff like that. And again, I'm looking to just try to get that closed out. That particular, so the repairs that I did to that travel lift area, that's completely gone. That travel lift, that footprint and all that stuff was.
What are you calling it? The repair?
It's a travel lift pit. So it's basically where the travel lift drives out on. It's got pilings and timbers. It's like Danvers Port, where they haul the boats in and out.
Okay.
Same thing. So mine directly, almost directly across from it. And in 2012, we actually came in and we did all the paperwork, because I learned in 2004, did all the paperwork, the engineering and stuff. We redid a different, larger travel lift pit. seawall, the whole 9 yards. That was completed. That was given an order of completion, certificate of
Certificate of
completion.
compliance.
Yeah, compliance, sorry. That was, so that, and that was in 2012. That certificate I have. For some reason, this one was still open on that particular piece that's gone. So now it's there, but it's a whole new travel lift pit, with a different type of bulkhead, different pilings,
So
different.
was the other one removed or just
Yes.
abandoned?
Yeah, no, it was removed.
And was there any work, any permits required for that?
It was part of the
The
2012.
2012, he said.
yeah.
He must have gotten a COC for that already then?
Yes. Yep, I do have
Okay,
that.
but part of that
Yeah,
completion was the fact that you were removing the other.
yeah.
Correct, right, that, so that, we took out the old travel lift area and installed a new, new design and all.
That's just the
Yeah.
Yeah.
formality, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, are you all set?
Yes.
Mike, any questions?
No, just, what kind of business do you have there?
So I own Portside Marine, which is the boatyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we store boats, we haul them out in and out of the water with a travel lift, which is the boat hoist, in and out. Just like Danvers
So you're
Point.
selling the whole business, the whole thing?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So my business partner he's purchased the business from me, and now he's in the process of trying to purchase the property.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So essentially, it really, nothing is
Yeah,
changing.
I get it.
The business stays, and he's been there with me for 13 years,
Yeah,
so.
I have nothing further.
Okay, thanks. Chelsea?
I've got nothing.
Ann?
No.
Any questions? Vanessa?
No questions.
Okay, someone can make a motion, we can grant it. I'm sorry, is there any public comment? None?
I'll make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for 106 Liberty Street, DEP file number 14-1009.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, good. And item number 6, 106 Liberty Street, DEP file number 14-1088. The applicant is Mr. Robert LeBlanc.
And good evening once again, for the last time, hopefully, right? Robert LeBlanc, 106 Liberty Street. And so
Oh, okay.
we're on 1008, correct?
One didn't.
So 1008, this was an attempt that we tried to get approval to do dredging, when the town did all the dredging in 2007. And I was not able to while I was able to get town approval, I was not able to get federal permits and to get, Division of Fisheries to okay it, because I couldn't show that that travel lift area and whatnot, that even though it existed prior to 1965 and it had all its stuff, there was never anything in the documentation about dredging, which they did dredge it. They just never did the paperwork back in when they grandfathered it in. So my Chapter 91 license didn't cover dredging. So I had to apply for new permits for dredging, and I attempted to apply for it while the town was in doing the dredging to piggyback the testing and all that stuff. And long story short is I was unable to get approval for new dredging because I couldn't show that it was legally done back in 1965. So my dredging never happened. So basically, I came in, we got the order and stuff, we opened it all, and it just, I threw a bunch of money in the river, and that was, and off that went. So I'm just asking again, is that for housekeeping that we can close that out?
Okay, any questions, Mike?
Yeah, why wouldn't they let you do, which looks like maintenance dredging? I mean, why wouldn't they let you do? Is there an issue with like digging up pollutants or things like that?
No, believe it or not, it was shellfish.
Shellfish?
And I had said, and we just wanted to square off with the town, so it was not, they dredged past me.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to square off with the town.
You wanted to tie in with that?
Yep, I wanted to square off, and again, it was very, very maddening because, the gentleman, while he has a job to do, I understand, but we were taking out contamination, basically, because that's all junk, I mean, there's no shellfish growing, and there's nobody, the beds have been closed for years. There's no shellfish harvesting in Danvers, it's closed.
right.
And I got all that, I got it, and he said, well, that doesn't mean there can't be someday.
Well, yeah. That's true.
100 years
And,
later.
and again, but it would be, you'd be more apt to have shellfish there if you took out
Yeah.
excuse my language, the junk, right? And had clean to start with. Then they could produce and they could grow.
I was just wondering what the issue was. Thank
Sorry,
you.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that was it, so that's,
We would like to see shellfish get reintroduced, so
Actually, I have a
we're
follow-up
working in
question
that direction.
regarding
Uh,
that.
Chelsea has a question too.
Well, it's her turn, so let's go.
Yeah, not really for you, but like in general, I guess more for Georgia. Is that what the like protections for shellfish habitat are for, and the idea that like they would eventually be harvestable? I thought it was
No,
just
they're-
preserving them just so they can exist there, 'cause-
Exactly, yeah, there's
Okay,
more
yeah.
value to
We
shellfish
don't care if
than
you can eat
just-
them or not. We
Yeah,
want 'em
no,
there.
well, that's
We
like-
want 'em there.
They're
one of the great
extreme
benefits of
pollutant
shellfish
filters,
is they
yes.
sequester heavy metals into their shells and stuff.
right, they're
Exactly.
filters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
all
why
in
I
all,
love
it's a good thing
oysters.
to have them, whether we harvest them or not.
yeah, exactly. They filter the water. So, okay, I was just confused there for a
that's a
second.
good
I was
point.
like, we don't need to worry about whether or not they're edible. I remember that came up before in a
They did.
previous
Yeah, they
hearing a
did.
couple times, and it's like,
But
No,
that's,
you're-
I don't care if
you're
we
right-
can eat
you're
them or
right, though.
not.
Yeah, they're big filters. Well, they're
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
little filters.
yeah, but with enough of them,
You get
makes an
enough.
impact.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, that was all I had.
okay, Ann,
No, I'm fine.
Vanessa,
No questions.
You should make the motion.
okay, any public comment? No, it's not? Okay, if someone can make a motion, we can.
Sure, I'll make the
So,
motion.
actually, let me just ask for a little clarification. Since this order of conditions was issued in 2007, and he decided tomorrow that he wanted to go ahead and he got permission to do this dredging, would he be still good from our standpoint? No.
Absolutely
No.
not.
He'd be
It
outside of the
expires
3
right
years.
after 5
Expires.
years.
That's expired.
Yeah.
Isn't it
yeah.
after 3 years they expire?
Yeah, they would have to
3 years.
reapply.
Actually, I do have a question. Would this need a certificate of compliance if he didn't do anything?
That's a good question. So he's gonna get a certificate of compliance, but I'm gonna check off the box that says
Right.
invalid order,
We
project
had
not
this
occurred.
before.
Right,
So,
okay,
yeah.
that's right.
Okay,
We rarely come into this one, but it checks that box.
Gotcha.
good question.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 106 Liberty Street, DEP file number 14-1088.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
All set.
Thank you very much.
Yep,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
Good luck.
You don't know how much I like, I was like, trying to read all this stuff, and
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God, with orders that are like 2 to 4 decades old.
well, yeah,
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, and I had to read that like 8 times to figure out what they did, because there's like one line in 1979, they weren't very detailed. And I'm going, what, I don't even see what they did.
God, wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just as
awesome.
part of the old and new business, George, just a quick question. Is there a listing or a log of open orders? that,
I wish we had that, Peter. That's one of our goals. We've had interns in the past. We have a master Excel spreadsheet of our permits by DEP file number. And as the very early years are 200, 300, 400 DEP file numbers, we have the history of, when they filed. As we get newer, probably from 2010 to now, we have a good, healthy list of when they filed, why, when it was closed out. But that middle section is, it literally takes finding the order of conditions.
Paper file
Physical.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's a lot of,
In Peabody, they staff there was calling, because I got a call on one I had done in Peabody.
was it really old or was it?
Yeah, wanting to know why it wasn't, well,
Got it. 'Cause-
it was probably 10 to 15 years old.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is, we always, as we have time allows every time we get a new order, of course, we make sure so now, for example, these 4 files, now file 057, I'm gonna update that in the spreadsheet to say this is
Yeah.
closed out. So now when we look it up, we don't have to go to the basement, and figure out if
Can't
it
you-
has.
can't you just go, can't you go in the registry and?
We could, but as you'll
Look
see,
right there.
this wasn't recorded under his name, and it was under
Oh,
102
yeah, that's
Liberty.
another
Yeah.
problem.
And
Yeah.
you can never,
And were any of these
It's a lot of work.
the only assurance is walking down to the basement and getting the file and saying, no, it's not in here, so it takes a lot of time.
But you're confident, say, from like 2010 on, that we do have a pretty good handle on what's open?
Yeah, well, I would say anything's open from 3 years ago forward. There can't be anything more open, like, open and active, it's only the last 3 years. Open, there's a good amount, yeah.
And is it a practice to notify people when it expires, or is that totally on them?
Again, the staff to monitor all those
That would-
individual
yeah, that'd be-
deadline dates is, I mean, once we have online permitting, we'll be able to trigger that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you shouldn't be your job to have to call people up and say, hey, your permission's about to expire.
No, we
You
don't
got-
have that. And in a lot of our projects, they either don't happen or they happen within the 3 years and right away, if staff's closing the project, doing an as-built walkthrough, we say, close it out. The odds of them not doing it after they've done all that work are minimal. But they really only come up as these situations happen where people want to sell their house.
Okay, just
All right.
as long as we're moving in the right direction. I just have one item for, and it's a question for Georgia. I see a lot of these mosquito spraying signs. So there must be businesses out there that are spraying people's yards to keep
Yep.
mosquitoes down. Are there any regulations in our bylaws about those in regards to wetlands?
So there's nothing in our local, like the Danvers local wetland bylaw about mosquitoes and insecticides like that. We monitor, we tell people, no salt, no pesticides.
Right,
I believe that the insecticide spraying and what's allowed in larvicide versus insecticide and allowing, I know applications are, those businesses only get a certain type of permit and they're only allowed to spray it in certain areas. So I believe that licensing is under Board of Health
I was gonna say,
or
that's a Board of Health issue.
it's but we do not have in our bylaw prohibiting that. I'm not sure if that's something other towns have caught up with doing, or if there's policies relative to that.
What about spraying where there's a wetland?
Well, where there's wetlands is where there's mosquitoes, so you're gonna find that I think there's a balance of when they spray and what time and how what they're spraying affects all the other plants and insects there. I'm sure there's heavy amounts of science.
So someone to spray in Danvers, say, they'd have to go through the Board of Health and get some sort of permission?
I'm not sure what their process is, but I know it's not through us.
We could look that up.
Could you ask?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Yeah. You
Well,
see
yeah,
some
I
of
mean,
these
if it's
mosquito
just-
signs that they're wiping out the mosquitoes, and like you say, they're in the wetlands, and, I mean, that's just attacking the bottom of.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else from anybody?
No.
Someone make a motion
Wait a
to
minute,
adjourn?
wait a minute, we have a question.
So what's my next step, I guess?
I'll be in touch with you tomorrow.
Okay, so
I'll call you tomorrow.
do I need to go to the registry or?
I'll check in with you tomorrow, just so we can close the hearing. We're still on TV. I'll give
Oh.
you a call. Yep,
Good, thank you.
that's all you need.
Okay, someone can make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all.
All right.
Very good.
See you, William. Take care.